Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is 3 rounds in the APFC Featherweight Division, sponsored by Cat's Law. And now, introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a mixed martial artist. He stands 5 feet 10 inches tall. Official weight, 146.3 pounds. Coming in tonight with a record of 2 victories, 2 defeats, and 1 draw. Fighting out of Chicago, Illinois, Mikhail Willis. And across the cage, his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, a striker. He stands 6 feet tall. Official weight, 146.5 pounds. Coming in tonight with a record of 3 victories, with 2 defeats, fighting out of Sheboygan, Wisconsin, Gavin, the Reverend Vervelde. And your referee in charge is Tom DeVellis.
Tom DeVellis, our referee, making sure things remain copacetic inside the cage as the Reverend Vervelde takes on Mikhail Vicious Willis. And we are off. Meeting in the center of the cage, Vervelde and Willis immediately pressing forward as the Reverend.
Vervelde coming out, throwing that big rear kick right away. Both of these guys look comfortable striking at kicking range on the outside. And here we have another southpaw versus orthodox style matchup here. Look for Vervelde to maybe throw that right kick, throw the right hand, because it's always going to be lined up for the southpaw.
Mike Willis wrestling and boxing since the age of 14 with that right foot forward, likely in a good position to start setting up those takedowns if that's the route he chooses to go. But as I mentioned earlier, training underneath the tutelage of Crew Saeed Hatim, a fantastic kickboxer. Something tells me Willis is going to want to stand and bang a little bit tonight.
For sure, and definitely in the striking component of this fight, what we want to look for is the battle for foot position when you have the orthodox guy versus the southpaw guy. Look for the southpaw to maybe step to the outside. Look for Willis to maybe constantly step to his right-hand side to try to box his opponent in to land those strikes.
A very focused, forward-pressing approach thus far for the Reverend Vervelde, as he's done a good job of keeping Willis on his back foot in the first 90 seconds of this fight.
Both of these guys look laser focused on their opponents right now. No one quite has the edge yet. They're just going tit for tat. Vervelde switching it up, being a little more dynamic. Willis just ready for whatever's coming and looking to counter and strike.
Potential spinning attack followed by a potential jumping attack there by Gavin, the Reverend Vervelde. Clearly a very deep bag of tools for Vervelde, who's got plenty to choose from, but it's Willis landing a beautiful straight left hand right there.
Willis doing a good job just staying composed. He threw that left hand right down the middle on the offbeat there as Vervelde's coming forward and marching forward, throwing everything but the kitchen sink. We saw a spin attack. He's going high, he's going low, punches and kicks. Willis is just being a little more relaxed and maybe looking to catch his opponent coming in.
Potentially we're seeing that wisdom that can come with a little bit of age as Mike Willis, 10 years a senior of Vervelde.
We got the old lion versus the young bull. The old lion more comfortable just sitting back. Vervelde, great jab right down the middle there, catching Willis right in the center.
Bouncing back up to his feet is the Reverend. Again, the laser focus there of Willis, though.
What we just saw there is very telling. Notice Willis didn't take advantage of the slip there by Vervelde. He just kind of stepped back to allow his opponent to, get back into the fight. He's not looking to go to the ground. I think both of these guys are comfortable on their feet.
An exciting first round. I'd say a relatively even first round as the Reverend and Willis kind of going tit for tat there.
Very even first stanza of the fight here. I would have to give the slight edge to Willis simply because he landed more. So we saw Vervelde, he threw a lot more, had a lot of motion, but wasn't very effective. Where Willis was comfortable just fading back. And here we have our replay. Both guys are just comfortable on the outside. Right there, Vervelde comes in, throws a kick, lands a punch behind it, was able to have some success, but Willis was comfortable sitting back, picking his spots.
There we see Coach Omo Gonzalez, a very accomplished mixed martial artist in his own right, talking to his teammate, and in this case, fighter, Mike Willis, with the narrow edge potentially going to Mike in that first round. Are you telling him to turn it up a little bit more, or to kind of keep sort of chipping away at the younger fighter?
I think what he's doing so far is good. I don't think he needs to turn the heat up just yet. He's not in any bad position, and when he lands and when he throws, he lands. So he's doing a very good job just being patient and composed. And sometimes it's better to let the fight come to you as to try to go forward with reckless abandon.
And if you're the Reverend who's looking to maybe turn the tide or maybe just finally take something back into your favor, what's kind of the answer? Because, oh, there it is, maybe almost taking it to the ground, but what's the answer for somebody like Mike Willis that just seems so settled in already?
I mean, he just gave you the answer right there. Beautiful switch knee. I think the simpler that Vervelde keeps it, the more success he's going to have. I mean, he's thrown like everything, all of these dynamic attacks, but I think if he condenses everything he's been throwing and it just kind of gives himself a little more success with his striking.
Well, much like in the first round, Vervelde doing a good job of keeping Willis sort of moving back for the majority of the interactions thus far, but doing a good job of countering and moving back and striking off that back foot as Willis.
Both guys fighting for control on the inside with that hand fighting there. I mean, you see that a lot with the orthodox and southpaw, looking to get outside and land their strikes.
Going upstairs with the kick is the Reverend, but Willis not at all impressed and letting him know with the finger wag, with the Montumbo, not in my house.
Not in my house. Willis just shaking it off, staying composed. Slight feints there by Willis, faking down low. Vervelde, he's bringing his cadence a little down. He's fighting at more of a calmer pace, and I think that's going to allow him to see more as opposed to just button mashing, as the anime or nerds may call it. Is that what you guys call it? Button mashing and just throwing a bunch of attacks. I think if he goes forward with the quality over quantity approach like that, keeping it simple, going to the body, he's going to have success.
A beautiful right hand to the midsection by the Reverend. As you mentioned, David, now that he's settling in a little bit more, we're seeing some of these punches and strikes finding their mark a little bit more for the Reverend.
You know, I trained a lot with Duke Rufus up in Rufus Sport, and one thing he always says is KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. And sometimes that's the answer, keeping it simple and just being more efficient as opposed to just throwing and putting a lot of energy and effort out there and not getting anything back in return.
Continuing the forward pressure is Vervelde, who thus far looks to be the more successful fighter in the second round. But with that being said, both very close rounds thus far, David.
One thing I noticed Vervelde is doing is throwing that right kick up top. Even if he doesn't land, what it does is it jams up the left hand of Willis, because Willis has to answer that high kick there, and it's going to prevent him from countering.
But Willis continues to stay focused. Looks like he's got a game plan that he's looking to stick to. Yesterday in interviews, he had a great quote. He says, "I'm here to work my plan as I plan my work." Plan your work. How about that? That's definitely the elder wisdom exactly making its way out, as Willis said.
Very philosophic approach there. I mean, I definitely appreciate it. However, as much as that may work for him, as we see here, he's just kind of keeping his eyes open. Vervelde was able to capitalize on his moments here. He was way more patient than the first round, just kind of set back, looking for his spot, and he had much success. I think we're going 1-1 in this third round. You asked me going into the second round, Christian, when is it time for Willis to turn it up? It's time.
We could be a round apiece, but some razor close rounds in these first two stanzas. Anybody's fight going into this third and final round in a very evenly matched up bout as the Reverend Vervelde takes on Vicious Willis. Let's see who has a little bit more fire in their belly in this, the third and final round.
Vervelde throwing that left hook, stepping in with the right hand there.
That high kick sort of just creeping its way up each and every time. A beautiful takedown there, though, by Mike Willis.
And just when you think you have all the answer, Willis changes the questions and shoots in for a beautiful double leg. And now he's in great position to work on top here, tying up Vervelde's legs. Let's see what his opponent has off his back here.
And then as close a fight as this is, if Willis is able to keep Vervelde on his back, that could be a pivotal situation if this were to reach a judge's decision.
Very smart move there by Willis. I mean, he has his opponent on his back, and it takes time to work off of your back. So even if Willis is not landing damage or he's not landing strikes here on top, he's in control. And from a judging standpoint, you can't give Vervelde the round if he's on his back. I'm sorry.
Now advancing to side control while keeping that opposite side arm tucked underneath the body. So putting some pressure on the left shoulder of Vervelde is Willis.
Willis doing a great job with the wrist control here, inside control. Let's see where he goes next here.
Vervelde able to get that right knee inside to compose that open guard, but wise to it is Willis as he looks to pass the side control once again, but now inside the full guard of the Reverend.
What Willis needs to do here, he's in great position. He needs to posture up and look to land some strikes here, as he just did. And then he's going to let his opponent stand back up here.
Well, Willis ready to strike on the feet once again, as you mentioned there, letting the Reverend back up to his feet. But now it's Willis pressing forward and putting Vervelde on his back foot. But a takedown there by the Reverend.
Willis in for the shot. Vervelde in for the shot. However, Willis countering and going into an armbar perhaps.
That arm is in trouble. Looking for the finish via submission is Vicious Willis, extending the armbar.
This looks bad here. What Willis needs to do is he needs to squeeze his legs together. He's so focused on trying to pull that arm back. However, that's going to allow Vervelde to kind of switch out and counter because he's not securing the body. If Vervelde keeps rotating here, he can find himself out of the armbar and in a better position.
That arm is very much in a compromised position as Willis looks to extend once again. This is the deeper extension and a finish. Mikhail Vicious Willis picks up the submission via armbar in the third and final round as he sends the Reverend away with a loss.
I said it once before and I said it again. Just when you think you have all the answers, Willis changes the questions. As we see here in the replay,
Vicious Willis advancing to 3-2-1. And oftentimes they say you're only as good as your last performance. And in the case of Mike Willis, that is a darn good performance there, David Evans.
Very good performance, man. He was doing his job, doing what he wanted to do, planning as he was going, sitting back, found himself in this armbar position. He didn't have it locked up or secured at first, but once he got his legs together, that put his opponent in a position where he couldn't escape and he could isolate the arm a little bit. And there we go, we have the tap.
As far as escaping goes, the Reverend did everything he could. At one point, it looked like he had escaped, but just staying on that arm, remaining vicious, as his nickname would say. Mikhail Vicious Willis gets the finish. He stays on that armbar, and he picks up a big submission win here inside the APFC cage, as Michael Hansen will make this one official.
Ladies and gentlemen, our referee, Tom DeVellis, end of the fight. The official time, 2 minutes, 38 seconds of round number 3. Declaring your winner by submission via armbar, Mikhail Vicious Willis.
Mikhail Vicious Willis looking sensational tonight, going home with plenty to feel good about as he gets the job done.
Here we have it. Willis came out